Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome to my next video in my series entitled Project Nostalgia. Yep, it's finally here, and in this vid I'm mainly going to be going over ways in which people tried to scam me or get me killed, or ways that I almost got myself killed, along with some other things. I've been trying to get this vid out for a couple weeks now, as you guys may have seen, but I just haven't had the time. Trust me, I know I always use that excuse, but if I could I would be busting out these videos like 3 a week, but college is a lot of work, so especially junior year. So hope you guys enjoy though, and please leave feedback at the end of the video. Thanks and enjoy. So it's my first day of members after 5 years of free-to-play, and I just come out of the Warriors Guild in Berthorpe, and obviously all I was doing was exploring, as I'm sure most of you do when you first got members, and so this was like a whole new game for me. And I just come out of the guild and I start walking over here, and keep in mind this is before the times when the game would tell you every time that you were entering a dangerous area, like what's about to happen up here. Yeah, that wouldn't happen. So I was walking up here, and little level 80 or so me, and here we go. I was probably running, but yeah, that starts to happen. Of course, I recall that it was a lot more, there were definitely a lot more of these things up here, and they were definitely hitting a lot faster than that, but I was getting wrecked, and I remember the only reason I survived, I was red barred, and the only reason I survived was because I had like 2 lobsters, and if it wasn't for those lobsters I probably would have lost my bank right there, and I probably would have quit RuneScape for like a year. So not too long after Construction was released, I was merging at Sears Village, and the guy comes up to me and asks if I want to see his house. And I was like, oh sure, I'd never really been in a house before. I didn't even have my own house at that point. And being a nice little kid that I was, I went with him, and I took me to his house, and he brought me to the boxing ring. And I didn't know what this was. I looked it up to make sure that you wouldn't lose anything if you died in here. But he was like, no, it'll be okay. Just go grab gloves off the rack and we'll fight each other. So I was like, okay. You had to unequip all your stuff, and got some boxing gloves, went in there, and we started fighting. And he brought me down to about 2 HP. I'm not exactly sure of how much, but he got me down pretty low, and he was like, okay. Let's leave. I gotta show you something else. And he was like, and so I agreed. And he gave me Falador teleport runes. Since I'm not on regular magics right now, I just brought my teletab. But he gave me runes, and we teleported to Falador. And when we got here, I started following him, and he traded me a limestone. I'm not exactly sure what he said it was gonna do, but he told me to use the limestone on the furnace over here, and I'm gonna try to replicate exactly what happened by drinking these Zamorak brews to get me down in HP. Nowadays, if you teleport from your house, you get your HP back, so I couldn't have done this in the house. So he had me down really low. I think that I was at about 8 HP at this point in the old HP system, but he told me to use the limestone on the furnace, and of course I did, and this is what happened. That's not what happened. Actually, I survived. I had about 1 HP left, and I was freaking out. I had like a heart attack, and actually added the guy. He ran away. I added the guy, and I had been waiting for him to appear online so I could tell him how he failed at killing me. But it was quite a frightening experience for me. So I've always had this fascination with the color red, and for those of you who don't know, I always try to wear, when I'm doing these Project Nostalgia episodes, the same thing I wore when I did these things that I'm showing you. So my first dream armor was Zamorak, red, and then it was dragon. But anyway, I had seen this blood red cape, and when I found out how to get it, I came here to Relica, and this woman wouldn't trade me because I hadn't done the Fremenic trials. So that was one of my first quests, just to get this red cape. And that was followed by Priest in Peril. so that I could get these red boots. And I actually hadn't known that they had this mage gear in here, and at the same time I bought that, and I believe it's still in my bank. So what you're seeing here is my costume, or whatever you want to call it, for a very long time. I want to say 2 years until I got dragon. So I want to talk to you about the first time anyone's ever attempted to lure me. This was back maybe 5 years ago. I want to say it was 2007. And I was selling lobsters at Varrock West Bank. Guy comes up to me and says he wants to give me 2 mil. And I was like, okay, I don't believe you. But I followed him, being the little kid that I was. Took me down here, like all lures do. And he goes and drops 10k out here. Of course, it didn't appear immediately because it obviously didn't used to do that. He drops 10k out here, and I'm like, oh my god, he actually did it. So I ran out, and I started getting barraged. And this was before, I didn't even know what barrage was. I didn't know that you could even get frozen in this game. This was shortly after I became a member. So I was in here freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my Zamorak. I'm gonna lose my Fremennik cloak that I just spent an hour doing a quest to get. And this is what my inventory looked like. I had maybe 3 lobsters with me, and again, lobsters saved my life. I ate my lobsters, ran out, but my friend actually had a much better story. The exact same thing happened to him, but he had found a ring of life and didn't know what it was on the ground at some point earlier in the day, and a guy tried to lure him. And he's out there in the full Sarah that I had bought him. Actually, I told you guys about how I used to merge for my friends, and they start barraging him, and he gets down to like 2 HP, and the Ring of Life teleports into Ardone, or Ardugni, whatever you want to call it, and he gets out. That was a pretty interesting story. So I've talked about how I used to spend a lot of time in the Stronghold of Security with the Minotaurs, but Flesh Crawlers followed up the Minotaurs, and I actually completely forgot about these guys until a couple weeks ago when I was watching a video and I saw them in there. I was like, oh yeah, I did these for a while, and they're aggressive. So what I used to do was I'd sit in this corner, wait for one to attack me, and I'd be like doing something else. I'd have auto retaliate on, and yeah, I could pretty much AFK over here. But while we're here, the Skull Scepter. This was my first ever Skull Scepter, and since I did Minotaurs all the time, I used to get I believe it's the right half of the skull all the time, but I never made another Skull Scepter because I had this like attachment to the Skull Scepter, and if I ever used all the charges, I would be so pissed off because I was weird with things. I like to keep my my like first items. I'm not sure what's so great about these guys. There seems to be a few people here. I don't know if they have good drops now, but I used to do these in free to play, so I didn't get the members drops. So at a time when I was becoming less trusting of people, someone came up to me, said he'd found this great new spot for training. I'm sure a lot of you remember this. So he brought me over here on Karamja to the tribesmen, and we started attacking them. I was smart this time though. I had brought with me a teleport. It was obviously not a teletab, but I had runes with me. And so we were fighting the tribesmen, and I became poisoned. And it started hitting me really quickly for 11 damage. Back in the old system, 11 damage. Now it's only like 68 max, but it was hitting me 11 damage really quickly. And he really didn't get that close to killing me. I had like maybe 60 something HP, and I tellied out and made it. But I know a lot of people that have died from this scam, and yeah, I just thought I'd share that story with you.